Hey everybody, Jay Young here, the Jay Young Show. Man, I tell you what, today's a good day. We're right in the middle of you know beginning of baseball season, ending basketball season. I know that went there, but it's a great time of year. It's the time where in Texas we love the weather. Don't wait too long because it's getting ready to go the other way. But we've got Jordan Soto. Jordan, my co-host and extraordinaire. Thank you, Jordan, for being on today. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, just fantastic. I mean, like you said, we're getting into baseball season. I feel like that's the best time of year for sure. Springtime. And like you said, don't wait too long.
Yeah.
It's really windy in Houston right now. And there's a few rooftop pools calling my name, but that breeze is kind of aggressive. But I know in midsummer, I'm going to be wishing I had that breeze. So
I
I'm
know.
going to take it all in while I can.
Yeah, definitely. I know. And they do such a great job out at the ballpark feeding us that with the food. I know I'm gonna gain weight here really soon with all the food that they have. But anyway, let's bring on Mary Gardner. Mary, thanks for coming to the show today and welcome.
It's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me, Jay Young of the Jay Young Show.
Mary and I have known each other. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. She's a tremendous help if you need help telling a story, crafting a story, or charisma. I mean, you can see how much more charismatic I am today than I was a month ago, 6 months ago, and it's all because of Mary. It's all because of her.
Oh,
Thank you, Mary. You're awesome.
You're a great subject to work with, Jay.
Well,
Tons
thank
of
you.
fun, tons of fun, and great to meet Jordan also.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Mary's done a great. I came to a camp that she had a couple of months ago, and I was absolutely impressed. I mean, with the
How did you find this camp, Jay? How'd you find the camp?
well, because Mary and I reached out. Mary had a really great, and I'm not afraid to answer, ads or emails or whatever. And I had thought about how do I increase our brand? I mean, we need a brand for the Jay Young Show, for King Operating, for Jay Young. What do we need to do? And man, I got an email one day, and it was about Mary Gardner and her qualifications, the things that she has done in this industry and for herself. I'm going to let her talk in just a minute, but I'm going to build her up here for a second. But her marketing campaign and how she reached out there and just, I was such amazed at her story and how she could help in building stories because, it's all about telling stories. It's all about crafting a story. How do you do it? What do you do? And with her camp that I was there, I think it was a 3-day camp.
Yeah.
Seems like, yeah, it was unbelievable. And the people that I met when I was there is about a dozen people, but we'll be friends for life, absolute friends for life. And we helped each other with there was a top attorney and one of the top attorneys or law firms in the country there. There was a guy that was just trying to find himself and his brand and what he needs to do. There was a Navy SEAL there. There was a marathon run, a marathon, like a 2-time Olympian. Yeah.
Oh,
Man, Mary knows.
hospital CEOs, a lot of high achievers, high achievers. And it's the Storycraft Summit. And we do it several times a year. And it's really to help people identify what their personal story is and bring authenticity and charisma to the stage.
Right.
So
Mary, with that, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and just tell something about yourself?
All right, awesome. Yeah. I was a former celebrity lecture agent. So my career actually started on Capitol Hill. And then my first job for several years was as a celebrity lecture agent. So we worked with the top speakers in the nation to help them get booked on stages. So whether it was colleges or corporate, I was a college agent for a long time. And then I did that for several years and I just felt the itch. Like I wanted to kind of like Jordan, like doing your thing and figuring out what I was doing. So I started teaching people how to be a speaker. And that was in the beginning of coaching. And so I didn't really know it was called coaching, but I started coaching and then I started training people how to be a coach. So I actually owned one of the first coach training companies in the world. And so we were training people in processes of being a life coach, a business coach. And so over the course of my career since then, I've done all sorts of television work. I've been an on-camera brand ambassador, traveled the country, worked on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs as a corporate trainer. And I've trained people from executives of Fortune 500 to Olympians, NFL players, Hall of Famers, NBA players, track stars, to people on TV that won Dancing with the Stars. So people that they have something to say, they are an influencer in one area or another, and they just want that edge. They want that spark. They want to be able to have a message that's clear. They want to go on stage and be powerful, but authentic all at once. So they have confidence and can teach something really valuable. So we do that. And then we also do marketing campaigns, public relations campaigns. And I train and we train. We have different trainers. You've met one of them. That was really impressive. From our last Storycraft Summit. So we partner up with different people and bring influencers to help other influencers. Our brand identity is that we inspire the inspiring people out there. We inspire the inspiring. So when we somebody, we're hoping that they are, their message is of hope for the world. We all need it, don't we?
Absolutely.
100%.
How did you fall into this? I mean, because I find that some people, they have all of this charisma, they have all this energy, and they're good at motivating people, but they don't really know what to do with it. And so, you coming into this career path, like, what brought you there?
Yeah, it's so true, girl, because when you do have that, oftentimes you want to be on stage yourself, and then you have to figure out how to be a speaker, and it's where do you make money at it? You have to be able to make money. So in today's world, there are specific steps that you can take if you are one of those type of people. But it's not only extroverts that are good on stage. It's people that message. A lot of my clients are doing TED Talks. They're writing books. They want to do consulting. Speaking is a part of it for certain. But coming into it, I had a very unique background. I worked and lived in New York City and in DC. And there's something about proximity. You guys you have the proximity to the oil and gas industry. So you get to know people. So when I was in New York or when I was in DC, I was meeting celebrities a lot. And that was how I launched my business, that I knew these people. They knew me. I had a long experience as a celebrity agent. I used to have celebrities that would call me and say, will you be my agent? And now I still do, but I'm not an agent anymore, but I still know the agent. So it's really, if you want to achieve something, get in proximity to where you want to work. And that's how you start to create those alliances and trust, because you want to have a good reputation. So do what you say you're going to do, work hard, get the job done. And so that's what I tell every young entrepreneur who has a dream to go after their dream is get in proximity, set a goal, get some work, and go for it.
What do you say to the young entrepreneur that has maybe ADHD and has all these different avenues that they want to do, and they don't really know their niche market yet, but they're really excited about getting this thing going? They have people who are calling them, they're interested in utilizing their services, but you have so much to offer and you don't really know what path to pick. How did you narrow in on, like, no, these are the type of people that I'm like, this is the community I want to engage with, and this is how I'm going to go forth, and like determining whether you're going to go with a specific niche audience or niche like offering? Like, how do you narrow in? Because I feel like when you first get started, you don't have the laser, you don't have the pinpointed thing on the map yet.
It's such a common problem, and entrepreneurs kind of lead a lot of times with the heart and go with the gut. And I like to tell a story that there was a lady sitting on her stoop in New York City, and a guy comes by and says, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm trying to figure out my life. I don't know what to do next." He said, "Well, what's right in front of you?" And she said, "What?" He said, "What's right in front of you?" So she looked down and there were ants. She said, "There's ants." And he said, "Well, get busy." And she said, "What?" ants, get busy. So she goes in, she starts researching on ants. She found it fascinating. So she wrote an article, and that article was well received. So she wrote another one. And finally, she wrote a book and became a bestseller. And she became a foremost expert in the world of ants. So the question is to the entrepreneur, what's right in front of you?
No, it's good because, a lot of people out there, it's like there's a huge shotgun approach, or it's like there's so many different things, and it's like you could spin,
Overwhelming.
you could sit there and spin your head, just trying to figure out exactly what is it that you want. And I don't think you find out for the longest time. I mean, I'm in my I'm in my 60s, and I'm still trying to pinpoint and trying to focus in on exactly what I need to do with our funds and with our oil and gas company. So I don't think you really 100% know. It'll take time, but I think the most important thing is trying to find a way where you can make some money. It's like, man, you want to make a living, because it's hard to, pay your bills if you're doing things that, just scrolling through TikTok all day long. And hey, you may be smart, but man, you got to make a living somehow.
You have to make a living, and you have to get a job to be able to fund your passion. So you should be working full time until you're able to fund it. And so you do your passion at night. And I always tell people, start for free. I started coaching for free back in the day. I started doing workshops and seminars, helping people on Wall Street, helping people figure out what is their dating, like, who can you date? How are you? Are you a good dater? Can we do your profile? I was one of the first people to meet somebody on AOL. And so I was like, oh, I just learned something. And so I can help other people do that. So if you want to start as an ambassador or get out there and start doing workshops, start doing what you know right now, do it for free, and it will grow. People will, and then over time you start putting together your marketing and things like that and going after business.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, you are one of the most confident people I've ever met in my life. You are well-spoken. You go on stage with heart energy like every conference. Why did you feel the need to reach out to Mary and go and do this class and work with her? Like, I know that we want to monetize the podcast, but is there another reason outside of that, or is it really just to start making something that you're passionate about profitable?
Yeah, that's a good question. And because, I was talking to this one guy, and he said, where are you going this weekend? I said, well, I'm going to Florida. He goes, what are you going to Florida for? And I said, well, there's a lady out there that I'm going to work on my story, work on, media stuff and talking in front of people. And he goes, oh, I've already been doing that. I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Dude, I've probably talked in front of more people than you have without question. But you know what? It was the story part of that. How do you put together a great 15, 20, 30-minute story? What do you need to do? It's like you sit in a room, by yourself and work on it, and Mary can help you, but it's like putting together a story. And I remember, talking about my great-grandfather in the oil business, and, him having 12 kids. And if you're a man, you're in the oil business. And if you're a woman, you're married to somebody in the oil business. And me going to the oil field with my grandfather, and, and my grandfather would, say, hey, drive by this oil well over here. And he'd say, okay, slow down. And he would say, okay. And he'd roll his window down, Mary would say something with Jill, would say, make sure when you tell the story, you're rolling the window down like they did in the old days, and just telling stories like that, because, using your hands or not using your hands or whatever the case may be, and just making sure that, you want your audience to be engaged, and you want them to think, oh, that Jay Young guy, now he knows what he's talking about. I could be the most confident man in the world and be able to talk and do whatever, but if I'm not telling the right story, and I'm going to kill it this year, and I'm going to kill it this year in one spot for sure, because I'm going to go in front of a lot of different RAs, and that's what I went there for, because I want to get up in front of a lot of RAs that are looking for investments, and how I tell that story is just so important. So Mary didn't charge me enough money. I'm going to tell her that right now in front. No, she didn't, but it's going to be worth no telling what money. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
Mm.
how much
Yeah, I should have done a percentage on your earnings.
you should have. Yeah, no.
Exactly. Yeah. And part of why people at Jay's level need somebody, Jordan, is because there are a lot of stories, and knowing which stories are going to have the triggers in somebody or make them feel something emotionally. And oftentimes when you have males, especially who are left brain, who are in a logical type of field, whether it be law or engineering or oil and gas or something like that, they tell the data, but they don't tell the emotion part behind it.
Right.
And when able to get a person up who can talk about a grandfather, either you're getting warm and fuzzies or you're like, oh my God, this guy is so great. You're finding that you like this person. That's the charisma that comes out. So I've helped a lot of people who are very smart, who, slow down. We're going to get to know you. One of my clients was Senator
Right.
Kelly. Mark Kelly is the U.S. Senator right now. And when he came in the first time we started working together, he's like, let's get down to business. Let's coach. I said, wait a minute, I'm the coach here. I want to get to know you. And I found out through getting to know him and speaking with him, just talking to him, that he was funny. I was like, Mark, do you realize that you're funny? You're not even using that on stage.
Hmm.
And then we told some stories because he was so logical. We told some stories about his wife, his Gabby Giffords, who had been shot and almost killed. And he told the story of the day that she almost died when she was flying from Texas to Arizona. On the plane, CNN announced it, that she was dead. And so he talked about what that felt like to think your spouse was dead. And he went from before we worked together, people were like this, to afterwards, oh my gosh, this guy's freaking amazing. And he made millions of dollars off of one speech. So if you can get the right stories, like Jay was just saying, and that can inspire the audience to take action, that is golden.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like the one that the video, I'll never forget it, was the guy that the wrestler, right? The big, huge wrestler guy that's bigger than whatever.
Hulk?
But he what?
Mark Marrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I'll tell you, he's got an incredible video of him, but he talks about his drinking and talks about his drugging and all his bad things that he did, and he missed so much time with his mom, and so by the time he finished all this, traveling and doing all the things that he did wrong and didn't spend time with his mom, when she was dying, he talked to her on her deathbed, and it was just, so emotional, it was unbelievable. Everybody in the room was crying.
Yeah.
And
It's called Mother's Love. Yeah, the video is called Mother's. And what he did very well, which speakers, if they can do this, is to create a contrast. So he created the contrast of him making so much money and traveling around the world and being this successful Johnny B. Bad. He was the wrestler. He had to make money. He had to make millions. He talked about that. Literally all of his friends were dying from drug overdoses and alcoholism, but he still was like going for that money. And then when his mother passed away, he realized that the most important thing is love. And so the contrast between money and love was so beautiful. People are wiping their eyes. They're having reaction videos to it. It's powerful. It's called, it's Mark Marrow, MarcMero, A Mother's Love. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and see exactly right there how much better she told the story than I did. You can learn right there. My story was watered down so much, and here Mary goes, man. She just, man, I'm talking about, she didn't one up me. She got three up me out there on that deal.
I was a spokesperson for a long time. You got to get it quite, across quickly. Make a quick impression. You got 3 seconds. That's about it.
Right. Well, and when I started in radio, that was one of the things that I had to learn, because I meander through conversations or my point, and maybe I start with no point and then I find the point. But regardless, with radio, you had to take somebody's 5-minute long conversation and turn that into a 30-second to the point, funny, in and out. Like, you have to know you're out in order to know where to start in radio. And so I think that was really like a really key learning point for me. But something else that radio taught me during my time there was also to be vulnerable, but to be vulnerable in a way that is not invasively accessible to your personal, to you, because people, when you are vulnerable and you're sharing parts of yourself with others that may not know you at all, there is this like lack of security there. So I have two questions here for you when we're talking about something like this. And that is, one, when you're talking to someone who's very logical, how do you disarm them to become vulnerable and become willing to be vulnerable with people who don't know them? And then the second part of that is, how do you protect your person but still remain vulnerable and safely accessible to an audience?
That's beautiful. I love that. The first question happens by the quality of your questions if you're trying to get somebody to open up. So you can do a quick pivot when you're talking business. Okay, great. Share with me. I love the word share with me because that's like, ooh, it's a softy kind of thing.
We're
It's
writing it down. Share it with me.
share with me. One of the things that I used to do in sales, because I've done sales forever, and somebody would be on the fence, it would be, what's your gut? And they'd be like, what's your gut? It's such a sharp, edgy question. Like it goes right to the matter. And so the quality of your question, if you can find one, share with me. Oh God, you look, here's what about, do you have a family? Do you have kids? So if you are a little bit and draw in, because once we are in the presence of somebody, we can model somebody and make them feel comfortable in our presence with eye contact and smiles and interest, and asking them questions that are more personal in nature, not invasive, where you're feeling like they're going to feel like, oh, she's attacking me or, interrogating me, but in a nice, friendly way. Share with me, what do you do on the weekends? Let her for fun. What's for fun? So I do a couple of questions for people, like family. So there's a formula, FORM, family, occupation, recreation, message. And family is, share with me, do you have any kids? What do you do for fun? What's your job? Share with me about your job. Or on the weekends, do you go paddleboarding? What do you do in Texas for fun? And then your message is about your passion. And if you can get anyone talking on their passion, it's amazing. And so that's the time when people have that spark and that charisma. And once you know someone's passion, then you can always zero in and ask them about that. And it'll bring up good memories instead of bad. And then the second question you asked is, how do you protect yourself from that vulnerability and not going all the way into that sad state? I have had speakers who didn't prepare, and the speakers that didn't prepare think, oh, I can wing it and I can just tell that story. Oh, it's fine. I had one very well-known speaker that went on stage at a mental illness association convention, very professional, but it triggered him on stage and he ended up crying his eyes out and having a breakdown on stage. So you never want to do that. So we do a bounce back thing where we get close to the story of the emotional place, but not too close that you're going to break down. You want to get people right to that edge where they're feeling that emotion, because that's powerful. But we create a story, then we rehearse the story, and then we bounce it back. And the last thing is that you never tell stories that you're still in the middle of. You wait until you're out of the pit, until you're back to the sandy beach, and then you're able to tell the story in a way that's not going to be so hurtful to you, so vulnerable.
Yeah, you might be too raw for that to happen. It's too soon.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I had told you before we hopped on, I did a lot of content creation, and that actually happened to me. I was telling a story, and not that I was in it, because I wasn't in that place anymore, but it was something that I hadn't rehearsed, and I hadn't talked about it really before, and it was during September, which is Suicide Awareness Month. And so I was telling this story about a family member and the challenges that had come from that, and I just wasn't prepared, and I was doing a live video and just ended up like crying, and and I had to turn off the video, right? And obviously you don't want to keep that online, and it was the beginning of Facebook Live, so it's like, okay, delete that, no one see that, and not that I'm scared of vulnerability or showcasing emotion, but it, like you said, it wasn't rehearsed, it was too raw. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to prepare people to receive the message in a way that would have been impactful and then enlightening and inspiring. And I think that's really the goal, is to use use what's happened to inspire and enlighten others in a way that uh, that helps them feel empowered to create change, and so yeah, I totally relate to that. So I'm curious, whenever you and Jay started working together, what was the first thing that you were like, Jay, you get started with her, and then what do you do? Like, is there practice sessions that you guys go through together to get the talking points like started, or what has been like how'd you get started, and what are some key actionable things that you learned right away that have impacted the show today?
I think the big thing is it's a good question, Jordan, too. But I think the big thing was trying to find out what is my audience and who's out there and what do I need to do to accomplish what my goal is, right? I mean, it's like if I'm going out to talk to these broker dealers or these RIAs about our product, what is the best way for me to be able to talk with them and to, tell them our story? It's basically, hey, we do it different than anybody else. Let me show you how, and this is, the story. And it seems easy, but it's really not. I mean, it's like it's tough not only to, number one, come up with the content, which Mary is really great at, but also two, what can I do to help you portray that story so you can stand out, and but also something that Mary does, really great is, like the TED Talks or helps with the content creation. But she asks a lot of questions. And I'm sitting here thinking about this. What's your gut say? I mean, I got, share with me. I've got family, occupation, recreation. I mean, I'm taking that to my sales meeting in the morning and telling these guys that I'm smarter than they are because I just learned. Are y'all talking about the family, occupation, recreation message? Are you doing that? No, I guess not.
All about connection. It's all about connection.
That's right. I look pretty smart, but it's really Mary that's back here in the back, But no, she's just awesome. I tell you what, if you find people that are smarter than you in particular areas, now I know that Mary probably didn't know how to drill a well or understand the whole sausage making, about how to stay in zone and things of that nature, but there is one thing that she is awesome at. I mean, charisma, which we need to hear more about some of the charisma part of it, but too, just, you got to reach out. Nobody knows everything. It's like the guy that said, I know everything. Man, no, you don't. You don't know anywhere close to what you need to. And having someone like Mary on my speed dial that I can call her anytime. And we have, we had normal calls once a week, and then I got my schedules all messed up. We're getting back on that too, just for a little 30-minute, hour long, just.
Yeah.
She's awesome at asking questions. She asks really great questions, which really helps me get to where I want to be.
And when Jay and I started working together, he was really unclear of his value. Of course, he knows he has this great business, but what in value in his story. And so when I start with someone, I do hear their whole story. I know all about their childhood, their siblings, their parents. And for Jay, it was interesting. He learned a lot from both of his grandparents, his grandfathers. And then he had some very vulnerable moments. He was fired by one of his grandparents, and that was a big lesson. Jay went through some really hardships when he was a young man that have made him into who he is today. So those are teaching moments. And so the thing that I saw, and when I hear their young story and then I hear their adults, their business philosophy story, there's always something that unifies them. And Jay is a leader that likes everybody to succeed. So because I see that when he was a young man as a football coach, he was the captain of his football. Weren't you the captain, or you were not the captain?
No, I was.
You
captain,
were.
Yeah, I was.
You were? Okay,
Yeah.
but he wasn't like always the best, but he was always the one that brought people together. So as a leader, when he's going out, and I know that leadership is a big thing that he can speak of and that people want to hear about, he has lessons from his life and his business of how he was able to bring people who were on opposite sides of the fence together in one room and solve the problem so everybody is happy. So he's got a thread of his whole life that he does naturally that now he can teach others. So having an outsider be able to identify, Jay, this is where you're smart, this is where you're different, this is how you fit into the narrative of a larger scope, that's where it's helpful to have somebody be able to listen and really spend time getting to know, the intimacy of your story. It's very sacred. It's very sacred work. I feel very grateful.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. And I think it's mostly that I have found I think you used the word niche, whatever it is. I don't know how you say that.
Niche, yeah,
It is niche. I think
niche,
goes
whatever.
old-
Everybody, it's like tomato.
old guys say niche, but hey, whatever it is. But I found my niche, and I want to get better at it, and I want to reach out to people that can help me do what I need to do. I know, hey, I've got to do. We're raising money. We're drilling wells. I've got to manage better. I need to help with stories and help motivate people. And like, I never was the best. I mean, I was a top high jumper, but whatever. But that was great. Yeah. But I really loved people, and I loved helping people, So what do I do today? I find people like Mary that can help me be a better leader, asking questions, the questions that she asks. I mean, I'll sit here and I'll write them down, and I'll use them because, hey, they're so helpful in me getting what I want. I mean, it's what Zig Ziglar always said, you can get anything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people, get what they want. So I do the same thing, and that's what Mary's super good at. I mean, she is really spot on with helping other people, get what they want, or helping other people succeed, be their best. That's what she's good at, and that's what she saw in me. And matter of fact, I had like 2 or 3 different stories, and I was talking about the one that I was going to do because my drinking and my sobriety and all that stuff, and I was going to do one there and also with my mom, do a kind of a mom story with my sobriety. So I missed a lot of time there with my mom when I was going through this, and my mom and I were very close. But I was going to do a lot of that, and then Mary said, "Well, what do you need right now? What story do you need right now that's going to help you, succeed in business?" And I said, "I'm going to go back to that story, and I'm going to tell it because I think it's a very, very good story for younger people, the 16 to 22-year-old that finds alcohol, finds drugs, or whatever. It's a great story for them. It'll help them. But right now, I think the story that I need to tell is, getting back on track and helping. Because we have a lot of employees, and I want to help our employees get, I want them to do better. Well, how do I get them to be better? Well, I increase our business, threefold this year. So we're increasing the business, and we're doing better because we want to help. We want to help. Our people here at the business and our business make more money.
Question here. When we're looking at the type of clientele that you have, is there anyone that's come to you sometimes and they just don't have it? Or can you always find the it factor in whoever comes to you?
You mean in a I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're asking Mary that question. I'm like, okay, that's a real.
Well, I don't know. Are you asking Jay? Or
you're asking Mary. No, you're asking. Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking you, Mary, but honestly, Jay, you can answer that too.
No, don't ask me. Take me off this camera right now.
You know if they have it.
Well,
ask Mary. She's awesome at this.
All right, we're delegating to you, Mary.
I think that charisma and the it factor can be developed, is what you're asking. And so I think everybody has a certain amount. And they've said that it's actually sexual energy, that is that excitement behind somebody. But so everybody has a certain amount, but you can uncover it. I always feel like I'm excavating and finding what that passion is. Today, I was sitting next to one of my clients was becoming deputy chief of the police department in one of our local towns. And I felt like a proud mama of her up on stage accepting the award. And so when she and I started working together, she was just terrified. And it was to see how people, so I have this exercise that I help people, Jay, you would probably remember this from the Storycraft Summit, is giving love to people when you drop from your head down to your heart and you start shooting heart energy out into the audience and with people. It's similar to praying for somebody, where we're praying for somebody intentionally or thinking of somebody and sometimes they call you. And so we use the heart heart energy to really create this love in the room. And I'm telling you, I looked around at one point and everybody was laughing. There were 150 people in the room. People were having so much fun. The energy was so great. So your energy is so very important. So there are exercises like that. And I also help people before they go up on stage that they know how they visualize, they touch the chairs before they
Yes.
speak in front.
Visualization is everything. It's so important.
It's so big. I have so many little hacks that help people that if they don't have that automatic personality, they learn, they can turn it on. I had one client who was an accountant. She was CFO, a chief financial officer, who became CEO. And she was a very, very sweet person, but I would identify her as sweet, not powerful. And so she and I worked together because she was going to be on a panel in front of the entire community. One of the big newspapers was doing this big panel. And so we worked together on body language, and we worked together on her messaging and her personality. So it looked like she was having fun. So they were 3 little shifts that she was going to make in her performance. And at one point, and I was sitting in the audience in the very back, and at one point people started saying, "What happened to Lucy? What happened to her?" Like, and she was so vivacious, and it was her on-stage performance.
Yeah.
And so we have different competencies when we walk on stage, oftentimes, than behind the scenes. So anybody can teach it. And if you don't want to learn it just in one session, go take acting lessons. You'll learn it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Heart Energy, I worked with our editors there, and the people who are the introverts, I would say, accountants kind of fall into that category typically. But one of the biggest things that I found is like that confidence factor first. And so I had created a 6-week program to help the editors find their confidence first, and then find their stage presence and online persona next. And the first thing that I did is I had them stand in front of a mirror and pick out 3 things that they liked about themselves, because I think that starts there, is like, I see myself and I'm comfortable and confident myself, and now I can present to others the confidence that comes from within me. But that's a lot of that dropping from head to heart and like and exuding that energy, as you said. And Jay, this question is for you, because I know that what Mary is talking about is a little woo-woo, and I know I can get into the woo-woo zone. So what would you say to other CEOs that are a little skeptical of going from head to heart and exuding that energy and doing a little bit of that woo-woo stuff?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and I don't think there's any CEO out there that understands that if people don't like working for you, and if you're in your head all the time and you're just about numbers and you're not charismatic. That's what I was thinking about a minute ago. I was thinking about, I'd love to see a video of somebody's before and after of when Mary works with somebody, and then after she works with them for a while. It'd be awesome. But CEOs understand it. They know it. Obviously, they know that you got to get out of your head into your heart. They know that, but it's really a question of how do you do it. And that's one thing Mary will teach you, is not only she'll tell you that, which she's really good at that, telling you. No, I'm just kidding. But she is good at telling you that, but she's also good at really teaching you how to, hey, okay, so Jay, this is what you need to do, step by step. Right. What you need to do to make sure that you're doing that, to make sure that you're not in your head all the time, that you talk about their people, you talk about their family, and so forth. So I think that's one way how she does it. She'll tell you how to do it, but also tell you how to get there.
Well, like, you have different personalities. If you think about it, you're a businessman. And so when you're you want to establish credibility first, oftentimes. So coming out strong as a business person is a good thing, and being logical on stage. So you kind of establish your credibility. People justify on facts, but they buy off of emotion. So after you establish your credibility as a force of nature in your field, being able to then lean into that emotional component. And so like with Jay's got so many stories of, the farm and the tractors and the this and the that. And he's pulling out his little Southern accent. It's super.
I like your Southern accent. It's coming out.
Everybody feels like he's one of the boys and just hanging out, go have a smoke, And so it's really that you're kind of circling around and you're touching everybody's heart, everybody's head. And so, and then you have an intention at the end where you're asking people to do something with the call to action. And that for Jay will be about working with his team. And he will have established that they are the top level. They're going to invest properly. They're going to make money. They're going to take good care of you. All these things that he's said throughout the entire speech, because he's that kind of person. So they're gaining the type of person he is throughout. So I think it's really having that mix of both head and heart.
Head and heart, yeah. And showing how to do it, or how do you do it, or when do you use it, or when do you not use it, and
I anchor people. That's another thing too. I've had clients that are what you were just saying, Jordan, that they may be uncomfortable with it. So after personality and getting to know somebody and laughing and joking, I'll be like, freeze. And I'm like, that is you. You're adorable right now. You are so cute. And you just made me smile. So you anchor that person in this new personality. And so like, I'll make them walk over to the right-hand side, and that is your fun personality. And so I have tricks, but behind the scenes, but that's basically kind of what we do. It's, so you have to allow them to see and to feel that those personalities are welcomed by your audience.
And I think they have to experience it too, right? Because if they don't experience it, then it won't resonate. And if you just are talking about it and they don't feel it and experience it, it just is not, it's not there. So you've worked with many, many different clients. I mean, Billie Jean King, Mia Tyler, Mark Kelly. Tell us a little bit about what it was like to work with that type of clientele.
Yeah, I love it. Everybody, I always feel, has a strength, and most people that are of that celebrity nature are very talented. They work hard. They're there because they deserve it in whatever field that they were. So there's a lot of respect going into that. You don't want to waste someone's time.
Right.
And you want to be able to get to the heart of the matter quickly and establish your own credibility. So anytime that I've worked with somebody, I start by hearing their story. And so we sit down, we do the 3-hour thing, and I hear everything.
Oh, it's 3 hours to start. That's the first meeting.
Never in one session unless we're doing a VIP day. I have a VIP day, which is full day, that Jay and I are going to be doing that very shortly.
Fun.
Where we work full day, and it's like practicing all day long. But I hear their story, and then we put together the speech, and then we start to work on it. And it's always great. Every person, like Billie Jean King was about legacy. She was such an icon, is such an icon, and being able to help people understand what that's about. She has her own personal causes too. Mark Kelly was going on the professional circuit, so the competencies for him changed. He no longer was the sergeant at arms. He was no longer the big astronaut. He wasn't the general. He now had to become this entertainer. That was a big shift. And so it took time. So watching, it could be the nuance of a head tilt. It could be using your hands and opening your hands that are very open, your body language. So I watch speakers, I watch influencers, and then having knowledge about where their career can go. And so I'm also have connections that I put them in touch with. Martina Navratilova was interesting. When we went to Yale University, she spoke to the tennis team, and here was her speech. Hi, I'm Martina Navratilova. I won 9 Wimbledons. Does anyone have any questions? I'm like, Martina, you are Martina freaking Navratilova. You are excellent in everything you do. You've got to be excellent on stage as well. And so everybody that I work with desires to be excellent on stage. And that's why we work together, is to really find that thing in them that's going to give them the confidence, allow the audience to see them as that expert and buy their book or or what have you. And even if it's just if they're a professional speaker, which Jay will be, delivering a message and selling books and things like that, he's going to have fans for life that are going to touch, his stories are going to touch them. They're going to change them, and they're going to remember them forever. Like he remembers Mark Marrow, that story. So I know Jay's story is going to impact people no matter who. They're going to love it.
Yeah. Thanks. And I appreciate you working with me on that. I mean, it's just an incredible a talent that someone like you would put together a business model like you have and just love what you do. Because obviously, Mary, as you can tell, she's very, 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 emotional and very, she's out there. She really does love what she's doing, which you can tell. But it's also, she's very knowledgeable about getting from A to B. And I had a friend of mine that I asked to come out with me, and last minute he said, "Man, I can't make it to this last." And I said, "Well, you need to sign up." Because the first thing he said to me was, he goes, "How did you stand up in front of all those people at your mother-in-law's deal and speak about that and, talk from your heart and all this stuff?" And I said, ask Mary Gardner. And he goes, "I can't do that." And I said, "Well, that means, is that where you want to be for the rest of your life?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Well, you need help. And to do something about it is, that's God speaking right there, man. Hey, if that's what you want to do and you can't get there, you've got to reach out to somebody that knows exactly what you need to do and feel comfortable and practicing your story and making sure that you do everything, possible." So
I love that.
I
love that. Yeah, I do. I feel like it's a gift. And, I do feel that all of us are in the right place at the right time. I was in 9/11 in New York City, and I worked on Wall Street, and I didn't happen to be there that day. And I gave a workshop 2 weeks later in New York, and I shared a story with, people like, "Oh my gosh, I wasn't at the World Trade Center that day." And everybody had a story. Everybody had a story like, "Oh my gosh, I was supposed to be at the Windows of the World. We were at an editor's conference. I woke up and I was sick. Somebody stopped and had a Band-Aid. They had a bruise or, like a blister on their toe. They stopped. Another person had to go back and change their clothes. Another person's car broke down." And so many people didn't make it to the World Trade Center that day that were supposed to and would have been in the towers and probably would have been killed. And so I always remember everything that we're doing along the way. Even you, Jordan, when you were talking about the entrepreneurship journey and everything, all of those things matter. And our job here on earth is to really help and inspire people and be joyful and be grateful to everybody you meet along the way. But you never know, it may be that one conversation that they have that's really uplifting, and that could make their day and yours. And I'm doing this gratitude experiment right now. And there's such joy that comes from sharing with somebody why you've helped them and why it's been important. And that's what a speaker hopes to do, is to inspire people. But every single person along the way in your daily life, whether you're at, the drugstore, grocery store, walking your dog, if you take a moment and connect with other people and just share a smile, thank them, that's who we're supposed to be in the world. And that's that's why you guys are touching so many people with your podcast, and it's fun. That's what makes life joyful, I think.
Yeah.
When people want to get started with you, what does that look like? Like they say, "Okay, I'm ready to get started. I want to do the speaking thing. I want to do a TED Talk, or I want to do this. I'm ready to go. Here's my money. I'm paying. Now what?"
Most often, they can go to my website, marygardner.com. We've got an upcoming Storycraft Summit coming up in June, and it's the 13th through the 15th. So me either meeting with them, we usually have somebody, myself or a team member, will meet with people to see if we're a good fit, because not everybody's a great fit. They have to be coachable. They have to have something where they're ready to go out and promote something. And so it's my website, and then we do tend to meet. I also have a master class every single week. So speakers and influencers and people going through transition who are looking for their purpose or trying to get a new job, and they're learning AI, and we're doing all sorts of marketing and training people. It's it's really good for people in transition and building that career. So that's a weekly thing. And then I coach individually as well. People like Jay who have the bigger goal of going professional. And so, again, that's one-on-one. So it's group. And then I have a membership site where they also do self-study.
Yeah.
So if they just come to the website, take some time, we'd love to meet. That'd be great.
Yeah, I just pulled up your website and you have so many offerings. I'm like, whoa, this is great.
It's not on me. It's not on me. I have a team.
So when somebody like is looking to do public speaking, what do you think is the biggest difference between like having charisma and public speaking offerings now in this digital age versus maybe if 10 years ago? I don't know if you were still doing that then. Time is not like I don't know. Time and I we kind of do whatever. But so when you're looking at back then versus now, like what is the biggest difference between public speaking and charisma offerings and things like that then and now?
Such a great question. Our brains, they say, have gotten faster over the last couple of years. For the first time in 200 years, our brains are so fast that they go in so fast. So everybody's got ADD. So what you're saying, so you have to have a hook now. You used to be able to get on stage and say, well, it's good to see everybody. I mean, that does not work anymore. You've got to have that charisma, that energy, you bring clarity to your message.
That damn TikTok is what it is. People just scroll through that TikTok 100 times an hour.
Oh, yeah.
A minute. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So no, it's exactly true. So in today's world, you've got to be more concise. That authenticity and knowing when to pull it out is really important because you want to establish credibility. You also need to have a good knowledge base. And so you could be a pretty face and not have anything to say. So you really have got to be able to be a good storyteller as well. So having good communication is really important, but there are so many hacks today in today's world with digital. You can have this words right in front of you and you could be reading. And so there are a lot of ways that you can do it. But I think not just delivering strong information, but also telling your own story. I think it's so important for people to establish that engagement with people.
How do you know if you have a story worth telling?
Everybody has a story worth telling. You are alive and therefore you have lived and you have learned. And so that's what we do. We start looking at those aha moments that you've had in your life. And what were those things, those 3 things that really inspired you to move your life? Maybe in high school, if I said, Jordan, what was that one thing in high school that you came out with that changed your life forever?
God. Put me on the spot. I don't know. Maybe moving to South Korea.
Wow. Now that sounds like a story.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's like, oh,
right.
hey, interesting.
That's my hook.
Yeah.
My life in high school changed the day I moved to South Korea. Are you kidding? I want to hear that TED Talk.
Right.
That is one of my goals, actually. Jay and I, we were talking at the beginning of the year, which, Jay, we need to share our list of our things that we want to accomplish in a year. But that's one of my bucket list items is to do a TED Talk.
All right, you need to throw me your 2024 goals. Okay, you need to tell me your 2024 goals.
2024 is so passe. That was last year. 2025.
Oh, 25. I'm sorry. 2025. Yeah.
Write that down, Jay.
That's right. Oh, let me. Okay.
See, I told you, time. It's relative.
I know, man. I know. I'm older today than I was yesterday.
We can guarantee a TED Talk for you if you want to, chat about that. So yeah, that's a big.
Well, that's why I brought up your website. I was like, this is a lot of the things that I'm wanting to do. Jay and I have talked a lot about like entrepreneurship and goals and what we're wanting. And I, no doubt Jay's going to get on stage and I absolutely crush it. And I just want to be like Jay when I grow up. So I'm working towards it.
Oh, Jordan, you're great. You're awesome.
Jordan, you're so far ahead of where you think you are.
Yeah.
And
she really is. She really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have got such a sweet nature. You've got great experience. You're doing a lot of different industries. You're doing fabulous. Just keep going.
Yeah, but see, a lot of times, Mary, it's because, she just lost this job and she's in this new job. And she's like, I want to do all these different, but it's like, just look at all the great things that you have, Jordan, right now. Bar none, think about all the great things that you have. You got a great personality. You're beautiful, charisma. I mean, you have. I'm not trying to build you up, but I'm just saying there's just so many more things. But we don't have the opportunity. So you use this platform with the Jay Young Show, which I'm glad you do, to show yourself to other people and show. And not only just this platform, but other ways to do the same thing. But just that's what I love, is helping you, show your worth to people because, maybe you're not looking at it going, not having a good day or whatever, but hey, man, this is what it is. Every day we need to look at this as the best job in the world.
Yeah.
Read your Bible first thing when you wake up in the morning. That gets you on the right track. If you're not doing that, I think that's a great way to start your day. But to look at it and just say, hey, what can I do today to help other people? Because I know I've got the self-confidence and my wife doesn't really like my self-confidence all the time, but hey, it is what it is. But she can't change me. It's been a while.
Oh, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I know.
But you're collecting experience, and I also recommend that you keep a journal, Jordan, and what you're learning along the way, and then networking with people and spending time going for coffee or meeting up with going to meetup groups and investing in your career like that. Also, if you go to Udemy, Udemy, you can get certifications for $13. They have thousands of them. And so going and getting some more education in multiple different areas that will support your business. So you add that to your LinkedIn profile, and then, people start to see, oh, this person's really got mojo going.
Yeah.
So
What is that? What did you say? You spelled it Udemy?
yeah, Udemy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think some Udemy.
I'm writing all
Can
these
I
things
get some
down. I
too?
want to take notes.
Can I get some Udemy too, Mary? I don't know. I'm gonna need some Udemy.
You.
And you can take free courses at Harvard and Yale as well. There's lots of free courses that would then
Really? I did not know this. See,
Yeah.
these are the things that we need to know.
Absolutely.
I
Well,
think we're coming up close to the end of our time though, Jay. So we only have time for a few more questions.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that's on the top of your head that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to ask this?
Well,
I know you
I was
guys
thinking,
later.
what's the? Oh my goodness! Hold on, I've got a call. I got a 4:00 call. Hey, y'all go ahead for a second. Let me.
Okay.
Well, I got a 4:00 appointment.
Producer, mute the microphone.
Yeah. No, what if you had a superpower? What would your superpower be? That's what would it be and why? What would it be?
I'm going to tell you my superpower.
Oh.
I have a superpower, and it is that I do believe that everybody has potential, and there's a way to get there. And God has given me a gift to see people at their highest potential.
Yeah.
And so I always, when I meet somebody, I'm like, here's where you can go.
Yeah.
And so, yes, superpowers are so important. What's your superpower, Jay?
Man, I think I want to make everybody better. I'm just thinking about you. I want to be you, right? I want to. I mean, you do it in a sense of helping people get TED Talks and have storytelling and all that. But I want to be a better leader. I want people around me to be so successful, just very successful, very happy. I want them to, read the Bible. I want them to, be happy. How do I do that? What's the best way for me to just, make people better and make our surroundings and our world a better place.
Yeah, I feel like you want to help people thrive.
Yeah. Make a difference. I want to be mad.
Yeah.
No, Phil Romano, the guy that started Fuddruckers and Chili's and a bunch of other stuff. Phil's a good friend of mine, and he wrote a book called Mad, M-A-D, Make a Difference, and make a difference. Yeah, he was on the Jay Young Show. He's like one of the very first guests on the Jay Young Show, and
Have him on again.
yeah, I know. But he's not doing too well. But anyway, I'll need to call him. I need a joke. I need to tell him I need a joke, and I need to call him. But anyways, I will. He needs to be. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's 80 something years old now, but he's a great dude.
Wow.
But anyway,
Wow.
super guy. But tell about stories. Oh my goodness, that dude's got a tremendous amount of stories. But I'll call him. I'll call him this week, and we'll do that. But anyway, he wrote a book called Make a Difference, and just an incredible guy. Incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I have one
Jordan,
last. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
What's your superpower?
My superpower, probably, I would say my superpower is bringing joy to people. like helping people find happiness, or not find happiness, but find joy. Because I think happiness can be circumstantial sometimes, but joy is just a choice away. And so, yeah, just making people happy and smile, or, just a little giggle or whatever. I've done that my whole life. So I think it's a little superpower.
Oh, that's
It
great.
is a superpower. It's bringing beautiful energy everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks. Well, I have one last question, Jay, if I may.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary,
Huh?
if you could give your 18-year-old self a tidbit of advice, what would it be?
Hmm.
Knowing what you know now, having worked with the people you've worked with, the career path, the journey, everything along the way, what would that one piece of advice be?
I would say put God first, always.
Mm,
God is who leads us. And when you have a relationship with Christ, you are never doubting who you are, and you understand that he's with you on the entire journey. And so he created us for who we are and the passions in our heart. And then I would say, go full forward and pursue what you want to do. Because when you live in fear, that's not of him, obviously. And so when you have a talent, go for it, and go to church, read your Bible, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that would be first and foremost, because most people get off the track and go down a bad path, and then it takes a while to get back. I did the same. But that would be my message to my 18-year-old self, is to never derail.
There you go. That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Great job. And everybody got a little Jesus when I was in Florida.
I got my little Jesus in my purse.
Woo, baby. Now my buddy Charlie at church gave me these little Jesus, and so I take them everywhere. My goal is to give 1,000 out this year, and I've given away 100 so far, maybe 100. Anyway, but just giving those away to people and just say, hey man, you need a little Jesus in your life today, and giving those out, which is great. Little Jesus, absolutely. Hey, I'm gonna go. I gotta go, but there's a Bible Chat app. Bible Chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Bible Chat. It's an app, and I go on it every day. I'm 51 days into it. 51 days in a row of reading a spiritual journal, your verse, personalized devotional prayer of the day. But this every morning I do it at 6:30 a.m. and then I go listen to my Bible. There's another one right here called the Bible, but I listen to it. But anyway, I started the New Testament.
Energizer Bunny. He wakes up probably at 4 o'clock in the morning. Is just going, and then goes until 10 o'clock at night.
But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Mary Gardner. Mary, it is such a pleasure to have you on the Jay Young Show. I tell you what, everybody, let's give a round of applause for Mary Gardner. Hey, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Mary, you're awesome.
Pleasure being with you, Jay Young, on the Jay Young Show, and Jordan, being with you has been an absolute pleasure. And I love talking about all those fun things. So I'm happy to refer any other fun guests to you. And thank you for all the plugs. And Jay, it's been an amazing experience. I'm very honored to get to work with you. So thank you for considering me your coach.
I appreciate that. You are unbelievable, and I know I'm a lot better. I don't know if you would have given me a grade before we started working and today, what would that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't put that.
That wouldn't have been fair, because you now have the tools. And
I'll give you a D plus. Am I from a D plus to a B yet, or am I?
I don't think you started off as a D plus.
No, I always think my clients are stars from the get-go, and then you just uncover, things to make them better and make them more confident. So no, you were a star from the get-go.
Hey, you're awesome.
Excellent, Jay.
You're awesome. I'm 15 minutes late for a sales call. I gotta go. So everybody, we'd much rather do the Jay Young Show. I love this place, and I love Jordan. You're great, awesome. Mary, thank you so much for being on today. It's been incredible. I think this is the best one ever. I'm going to say this is the best one ever. Let's just hands down call it the best one ever. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Thank you very much.